And hello, this is Eamonn O'Brien. You're so welcome to the Reluctant Speakers Club Expert Series. And today we're going to talk about the power and the importance of personality in the way that you connect with your audience, both from the podium and also online. And we have an awesome guest all the way over in Colorado. It is Andrea Val. Hello.
Hi, nice to be here.
And for those who don't know who Andrea is, of course, you're a social media coach, you're a strategist, you're a co-author of Facebook Marketing, I have to get this right, All in One for Dummies.
Yeah.
And I also know you, of course, for being a speaker and a stand-up comedian. So you're the perfect person for this conversation.
Great, awesome, yeah. And I have an alter ego too. So I have, you talk about personality. I have several. So.
Good. Well,
I think multiple personalities is always good.
Yeah, good. Well, we're going to introduce a few of them during this course, this conversation. So maybe we could start though with something kind of at a more base level. For speakers, sometimes people are a bit buttoned up and they're quite corporate and cautious about how they communicate because they. You have a nice phrase that you used in the past about the importance of having your unique goodness on display. Tell me a little bit about that. I like that idea.
Yeah, and I really feel like that's been a big part of my success was having my unique goodness out there, which is my fun side. I have an improv comedy background. I've done improv comedy, and in improv, you get to be multiple personalities, and I wore wigs, and I love dressing up and being crazy. And I thought when I was creating my business, I thought, how can I bring that in to my business? And it was scary because I thought, oh, everyone wants to be all corporate, and maybe people won't think that I'm serious, or they won't know that they'll think I don't know what I'm talking about, or that this is just some gimmick for me. And for me, it really isn't a gimmick. And I don't suggest that people just wear a wig to wear a wig, For me, it's something I love doing. I always wanted to be Carol Burnett, if you're familiar with her. The Carol Burnett show where they dress up and have some fun.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about Grandma Mary and how does that help you to connect with an audience?
Yeah, and it's kind of an odd thing because sometimes it can help me connect with an audience, and other times it's a little bit people want to talk to me, and not everyone's comfortable with Grandma Mary, which is okay, and that's fine. And I actually knew that when I started doing this that there would be people who said, well, that's a little too weird for me, a little too out there. I want someone who's more serious. And I was like, that's okay. I like to work with people who respond to something a little more artistic like that. So yeah, Grandma Mary is one of my improv comedy characters, and I decided to start blogging as her because, social media makes everyone a little cranky. So why not have a cranky grandma telling you how things change all the time, and it's frustrating, but her motto is, if Grandma Mary can do it, then you can do it too. So
exactly. Well, and I think the thing that I like about it, Andrea, is that it is entertaining, but it has a point. Mm-hmm. And that makes it easier for people sometimes to remember what you're saying, and more importantly, to connect with the idea.
Yeah, and I think it's something fun, and that I think what people respond to is the recognition of we are multifaceted people. We have artistic things that we like to do, but we also like to be in the business world. We have different talents, and we can have some fun and learn. And I do think that learning it is a challenge, and when it can be a little bit irreverent, a little bit non-serious, then I think you're going to have more fun while you do it, because it's hard.
Yeah, and actually to that point, because of course you're a social media extraordinaire when it comes to sharing ideas with people, when it comes to getting away from the podium and, if you like, continuing the conversation online, I suppose again that personality has to come through because people need to trust you.
Yeah, and I think I ended up, when I first started actually blogging as Grandma Mary, I thought, oh, I'm never going to reveal who I am. I'll always be Grandma Mary. But I think that what did happen for me is that I had to create 2 accounts because I found that people did want to talk to Andrea as well. Some people like that conversation, and Grandma has her voice, and I actually on my blog I have two author areas. One that's all Grandma Mary and it's all written in her voice and she does the video, and then another one where I do the posting. And I kind of wish we could split the work a little bit more, but I could do double.
I wish she'd carry the load a little bit more.
I know, right? I know. She's always claiming she's carrying me, but
well, what would you say to people who, when they're, and now this is thinking about kind of continuing the conversation online, because here we are, we're doing videocasts, podcasts, and the like, who think, well, you know, people need to take you seriously. Business is serious stuff. Should they maybe lighten up a little?
Yeah, I think, and actually, it's interesting you say I'm working on a new book that is going to be talking all about humor and marketing. So I'm excited about it. And I do think that you definitely can lighten up a little. There's some missteps that can happen out there, and I think that's what people are afraid of. They're afraid of making a mistake or using humor that might offend someone, and there's just some right and wrong ways to do it. I think you do have to be careful about the way you use humor, but I think for sure when you do things like poke fun at yourself or kind of point to the ridiculous in a situation, that's where we can all find humor, and we can
because we can see it.
Yeah. So I think humor is very memorable. Humor is very shareable too. People love to share things that are funny, and when you have someone sharing your commercials online, I think that's pretty amazing, because you're getting your message out there without even having to pay for it.
Exactly that, and especially if you're telling stories. And but let's kind of talk a little bit about, so you've dabbled in stand-up. What has that taught you about how to connect with an audience? Because that takes a lot of gumption.
Yeah, what I found with stand-up is that the more personal you can get, the better it is. It's very scary though, because you know, I stood up and said, I'm a terrible mom. And, you know, and it was really kind of scary to feel like you were revealing that, but I think everyone feels that way, and they feel like they're not doing something right, or that they're making mistakes. And if we can just expose that a little bit more and say, hey, we're all doing the best we can, you know, and
absolutely. And it didn't help that the kids were the back saying, yeah.
She's awful.
Well, as I say to my children, if you can't embarrass your own children, whose children can you embarrass?
That's great.
Well, look, this is just a really short chat tonight, but I did want to kind of delve into maybe, so in all of the stuff that you've been doing on social media over time, and the advice that you give people about kind of starting conversations and really connecting at a more personal level, what do you think are the 2 or 3 most important things that make a world of difference?
Yeah, I think that when you're starting conversation, I think that's one of the hard things that people struggle with, is that they say, well, what am I going to say on social media? What am I going to say as my business? I get bored with coming up with this content. And I think that even the mundane and kind of daily moments are shareable, because they show that you are human as a business owner, you're a speaker. You can share what's happening in your life, and that's where the conversation happens. I have the most rich threads of conversation when I share something bizarre, like, oh, I'm so frustrated with, I can't heat my tea or keep my tea warm because I have to keep reheating it, or something, odd about something that's happening in my day. People can relate to that, and they can come in, and that way it's not just a business conversation. You're not saying, did you know that 10% of da-da-da, you know, or whatever statistic that might be a little bit more boring.
I like that, actually, Andrea, because what you're doing is you're putting your audience into the picture, and we all have those things. And I had a cold cup of tea last night, actually.
I know. I keep reheating it, and
I got distracted.
Yes. I don't know why we would get distracted online, but
No. But listen, I want to thank you for taking the time for joining with me for a short time this evening, because I think that the whole area of people opening themselves to a more human experience, both from the podium and also in the way you connect with people online, can make a world of a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we all respond to kind of personal stories, and I think that can really help you. And it's, you know, it's not too, it can feel a little exposing sometimes, but you know, I think that once you open up a little bit, people can really relate to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about humanity. Well, listen, can I thank you so much for joining me this evening? And I'm jealous of the fact that you have that glorious sun there over in, we don't have any of that over here. So we're pasty white over here for a good reason. But thank you indeed for joining with me tonight. And thank you also for watching the Reluctant Speakers Club Expert Series. And until the next time, happy speaking.